Hello, this is Adi, and today I'm going to teach you how you can design flyers like this, or this. So when you open Photoshop for the first time, you go to File and select New and enter the settings just as I did here. And let's go ahead and change the name of our project to Thailand and select Create. So this is the right aspect ratio for social media and Facebook or Instagram. So let's go ahead and add a solid color. So at this side, I'm looking for a color that looks like the sky above the sea. So I'll go ahead and try some of the colors until I see the one that suits my preference perfectly. And I think this is okay, so I'll go ahead and select OK. So I'm going to add the heading to a flyer, and the shortcut for the text tool is T. So I'll go ahead and change the font, and if you do not have this font, you can download it from Google. And I'm increasing the size of our heading here, position it right, and change the color to white. So here I created a rectangle in which I'll clip my image into and position it at the middle. So I'll get into my gallery, select, drag and drop the image I wish to use, and drag it to position it, and click the commit sign. Press and hold Alt till this arrow appears and click to clip the image onto the rectangle we created earlier. So at this side here, I wish to add a stroke, so I'll click the rectangle, click this drop down here, and click the slider and slide it till I see that the stroke is perfect around the picture. Let me move this a bit. So U for the shape tool, and this time I'll select the ellipse. Press and hold Shift on the keyboard, click and drag to have a perfect shape. Then V, click and drag to move it. I'll click and drag it to the top of the other layers because I want it to appear on top of the other object. So now I want to add an image into this ellipse. So I'll go back to my gallery and select the image I wish to use. Click and drag it onto my artboard, and make sure it's also on top of ellipse we created earlier. So I'll press and hold Alt. When this sign appears, I'll click to clip it, drag it to the position I wish to have it, and I think this is okay. So now I want to add the stroke we added to the rectangle earlier. So I'll click the ellipse and I'll click this drop down here, click and slide it till I see that the stroke is perfect. Then Ctrl J to duplicate. I'll click the one beneath, click and drag it, press and hold Shift on the keyboard to align it perfectly to the previous one. And now I'll add another image. So I'll go into my gallery, and I think this, I'll select this, click and drag it onto my artboard, move it to position it. So you can click and drag this side whilst holding Shift to maintain the aspect ratio, and let's clip it to that ellipse as well. So let me position it right and duplicate this one as well. Click and select the original one, press and hold Shift to align it, and let me move this a bit. So I'll add another picture to that side as well, and this is okay. So I'll click and drag, drop it, and press Shift whilst you resize. And I think we have a problem here because we didn't select the right order. So let me select this ellipse, the one we just added last here, by pressing Ctrl and clicking that layer And let me get back to drag and drop this image instead. So press and hold shift click, and to resize, let me position it here and clip it to the ellipse that is beneath, and let me move it to fit in position. At this point, I want to move all the shapes and the pictures, so I'll go to my layer and select everything, including the pictures we added, and move them a bit, and I think this is okay. Let me drag it a bit, and at this point you can eyeball it and position it to your preference. So whilst moving your ellipse around, you should press and hold shift to maintain the alignment. Now I want to add another shape, so I'll press U on my keyboard to activate the shape tool, click and drag, and I think I have a shape here now, so I'll drop it and remove the stroke to 0. Select the move tool and let me move it to the top, and select the anchor, add anchor point. So I'll click and drag that aspect because I want to move it a bit back. So I'll click it and drag to this side and select yes. Here I want to duplicate the shape, so whilst I have the move tool selected, I'll press and hold Alt, click and drag to duplicate it, and as you can see, it has duplicated on the layer panel. So I want to change the color of one of the shapes. Go ahead and select OK. So I want the white layer to be in front, so I'll click and drag to place it in front and move it to fit in position. I'll press T on my keyboard to activate the text tool and type what I want to add to the subheading. So I'll select all and resize it and click and drag it to this position here. So I want to change the font and decrease the size a bit so that it fits into the shape. So now I'll change the color of the text, and once I'm done selecting the color, I want to change the size of the text a bit. Let me position it right, and I think it's too large, so I'll go ahead and change the size a bit. So now I want to change the timeline to landscape, so I'll highlight that area and type landscape. So we have explore landscape. So at this point, I'll move it down a bit by pressing V on my keyboard to activate the move tool and press the arrow down key on my keyboard. So now I'll go ahead and add other details like the place we will be visiting. So I already have it on my notepad, and I'll copy and paste it here, drag it to the white side here and change my font. I can change the size of the text at this side as well, so I'll click it and click this side and drag it back to have the size of the text decreased. So let me place it in position and commit. Now I want to add another shape, so I'll right click and select the ellipse to click whilst holding shift and drag to have a perfect shape. So let me move it to the side a bit, and I think I need to let the bigger ellipse come in a bit, so I'll select their layers and move them inward a bit. So I'll press and hold shift whilst moving them, but for precision I can use the arrow key on my keyboard to move them, and I have space now. So once I'm done, I'll change the color of my new shape. Since I already have yellow, I can sample it from my artboard and select OK. I'll go ahead and add stroke as we did earlier, and once I'm okay with the size of the stroke, I'll continue. So now I'll press T on my keyboard to activate the text tool. Click this side and type the date, but the color is the same as the background. So once I'm done typing, I'll press Ctrl and A to select all and drag it to where we added our new ellipse shape. So I'll then go on and change the font and decrease the size a bit, and then add other details to the date. So once I'm done placing the text at the right position, I'll go ahead and select the commit, then press U on my keyboard to activate the rectangle tool. But this isn't what I want, so I'll go back to the tool, right click and select the rectangle tool, click and drag to add a rectangle, and I'll double click the layer and sample the color from the artboard. Then I'll select OK. So let me position my rectangle and press T on my keyboard to activate the text tool, and then type the month and year. So Ctrl A to select all and click the drop down to change the font. Then I will decrease the size of the text a bit, and then place it at a proportional point. Commit, and let me zoom out a bit. Ctrl A to select all, and then I'll go ahead and decrease the size of our text. This time I'll type 6.5 and then commit. Then I'll use the arrow key on my keyboard to move it into position, and use the scroll wheel on my mouse to zoom in and out, Ctrl plus and minus to zoom in and out on the keyboard. And this side, I'm trying to change the font by pressing Ctrl A to select all, click the drop down to change the font, and I think this one is a bit too small, so I'll change the font by looking through my fonts list and see if I'll get one that best fits. At this point, I'll select all the text layers and resize it a bit, because I decided to resize the ellipse at the background as well, and I think this is okay. So I'll use the arrow key or click and drag it to my right side a bit and add a little bit of stroke to make it a bit bigger, and I think this is okay. So I'll place my pointer on the ellipse and right click, and then I'll select it at the side and make sure it's selected on the layer. Use the arrow key on my keyboard to move it. So I'll close the tab group here in order to have more space, and I'll click the topmost layer, then get back to my gallery and click and drag this tree here and place it on my artboard. I just want to place it near the text where the names of the places are. So I'll resize it by pressing Ctrl T or holding shift on my keyboard, click and drag that side and position it. So I'll go ahead and add a solid color and then sample the color on my artboard. So I'll clip it to the image we just added, and I'll select the 2 layers and press and hold Alt on my keyboard, click and drag whilst I have the move tool selected to duplicate it. So I'll press Shift whilst holding the Alt to keep it aligned, and I'll select those 4 layers and group them. So I'll go ahead and group the yellow and the white background, the shape we created earlier, and the text that is on it. So I'll select all the layers that I wish to group and click the group. So turn it off and on, and then we see that it appears there. So I'll place the shape of the coconut trace into the group we just created so that I'll be able to rotate it just like this and commit. So I'll go to the blending options and add some shadows. And if you are following along, you should enter the same details as I have here, but if you are exploring, you can use different values. So let me move this down a bit by using the arrow key on my keyboard and press U to add a shape. And so then I'll get to my layer and double click to activate the color picker and choose white and press OK. So this side I'm just trying to add the name of my business. So after typing it, I'll press Ctrl A to select or decrease the size of the font, and I think I'll drag it and place it here and then commit. So the text is white, so I'll double click the text and sample the color we had earlier on our artboard, and I wish to change the font, so I'll go ahead and try, and I think this is okay. Our image ratio is very low, so I decided to increase it a bit. You can do so if your computer can handle it. You can just increase it bit by bit and nothing changes, except that you see that your image becomes much crispy and sharp. So let me resize this and let me just fit it into the position, the right position here. So I think this is okay. So I'll go to my layers and close this tab group, and then click the topmost one, collapse it. While still selected, I'll select everything except the background layer and then move it about. I want to drop it down a bit, and I think that's okay. Yeah. So I'll get to my gallery and add an image I downloaded. Think of an aircraft or so, yeah, because this is about traveling. And first I'll commit. I wish to remove that triangle shape below it, so I'll double click, and once I open it, I'll select that side and click delete on my keyboard, Ctrl S to save and close it. So as you can see, the triangle at the downside is gone. So I'll resize it and bring it up to this point here. Let me resize it a bit whilst holding shift. Drag it down, and I want to change the color of the black, so then let me position it right here and commit once I think it's okay. So I'll go to my solid color once again and move it to absolute white at the corner. Press and hold Alt to clip it to that side, and as you can see, we have a white. I think this is coming out well. So I click the topmost and go back to my gallery to bring this here, and let me place it here and resize it a bit. I think this is okay, and commit. Resize it a bit, and I think that's okay. And now I'm adding the price, so let me type the value. Let me click and drag it to this position and change the size a bit, and I think this okay. Change it. So I decided to add persons, or per person, I think so, and Control A to select all. Then I'll drag it to the side here, and I definitely have to resize it. Click and drag it to this point and commit. I think that's fine. So I'll select the 4 layers there. I think it's 1, 2, 3, and then I'll rotate it a bit so that it will be in tandem with the shapes you already have on our artboard. So the next thing I want to do is to locate the red backgrounds layer, go to the blending options and add a stroke. So let me increase the stroke a bit and select OK. Press Ctrl 0 to fit our artboard onto the screen, and I'll go ahead and add new shape here. Click and drag to add a shape. There is no specific length or dimension. I just added a shape, and a V to activate the move tool so that I'll be able to move my shape around. So I'll go ahead and activate my text tool and type the address or phone number. So just type in random stuff, and Control A to select all and drag it to the side here. And activate the ellipse tool once again. Click and drag it whilst holding the shift to have a perfect circle. So I'll go ahead and click and drag it on top of all the layers, and I'll right click at the empty space there and click the stroke here, and let me Control T to transform. So pressing and holding shift on my keyboard, click that side and drag it to increase the size or decrease it, and I think it's okay. So let me add this phone icon I downloaded from Google search and resize it a bit. Zoom in, click and drag it here and resize, place it here, and close the tab group to get more space. Now click and drag it and place it on top of all the other layers, and then I'll add a solid color and add complete white. Select OK, press and hold Alt, click to clip it, and let me resize it again. Control T to activate the transform tool and commit. and increase the stroke a bit and select OK. Once I'm done, move it and just try to position it and adjusting the stroke. Doing this OK. So let me duplicate this ellipse by pressing and holding Alt on my keyboard. Once the move tool is activated, I'll click and drag the ellipse to duplicate it, and then add this envelope and drag it on the layer side to be on top of all the other layers, and select the solid color, select all white and clip it as we did earlier. So I group them so that I'll be able to transform all of them, the layer and the icons. This side I'm just trying to resize them. There's no specific dimensional size, just pure intuition. And at this side I'm trying to change the font and see how it looks like. And I think this is okay, so remove it to the side, decrease the size of the font a bit, and move it up, commit. So I'll duplicate this one here to this side whilst holding shift to align it, and then change the details again so that the details will be conformed. Is it conformed? It will be equal. So I just duplicated the ellipse once again whilst holding shift, and let me resize this. In fact, if you are given other details, you can as well enter them, but then this is just a trial, so I'm using my own details. So I'll select solid color once again, select white and clip it. And then I'll duplicate this once again, and let me change it to, I can fix this. I'll commit, and let me go ahead and experiment with the background color and change other colors and see how it looks like. So I'll select OK, and let me try adding some gradients and see how. So I already have this gradient here, so we can select the exact same thing and see how it looks like. So we can experiment with other colors and see how it looks like. So once you're okay with it, you can just commit. So I think it's okay. So it seems to me that the triangle on which the details are seems dull. So let me change the color of that. Let me locate that layer and move it. Yeah, so let me change the color a bit, and I'll click OK to commit. I think this is okay. Let me increase the size of this text and see how it looks like from afar. So I think that's perfect. So I'll change the same value for the rest of that sector, and once I have the background layer selected, I'll click and drag an image from my gallery and resize it here and commit. So I'll commit, and let me see how it looks like from. So as you can see, the image is on top of the background layer. Let me turn it on and off and experiment with the blending layers there, and I think it's not bad. So you can cycle through and choose the one you prefer. And for me, I think this will do. Then I'll decrease the opacity a little bit to enable the text to pop up, and let me change the color to something a bit more dark. I think this is okay. So that's fine by me. So at this point, I want to save my image. So I'll go to File, Save As, and I think let me get back and create a new folder. Name it Output. So I'll click this drop down here and select PNG and save it. In fact, I forgot to rename it. I think this is not bad. Okay, so let me invert the colors so that it will pop. Let me sample it from the layer here and commit. And see how it looks like. I'll turn off the background color layer, and this is not bad. So let me invert the rest of the details. Sample from the side here, and I think the text is the same color, so I'll change the color of the text to white as well. And aeroplane, let me select it and change the color as well. What else? I think this, yeah. Change it to white so that I can invert the color of the background rectangle there. It's not bad, but let me stick to our original color. So let me save this as well and select PNG. This time let's rename it to Thailand 2 and save it. So let me get back to what we had earlier, and I want to have the bare color background as well, and I think this is okay, and let me save it as well. The same process. And so now let me group my layers to make it readable for someone else, and I'm just grouping them. So let's go ahead and save our file in Photoshop format. So we'll go to File, Save As, and let's rename it here first. So this, and we'll leave this here and click Save. Click OK, and our file will be in our folder there. So that's how we save it in Photoshop format. So now you can save and upload your flyer to Facebook or Instagram and tag me at Ade Can Fix This. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.